yeah.
Oh, we've got a big one today.
Got a big one. It's a stinker.
It is a big stinking topic. It is. It is. Let's not beat around the bush.
Gonna put the fox amongst the chickens, isn't it?
Bit of a. Let's see how many puns we can get into this.
I'm always shit at this.
Come
game.
on, let's shoot to thrill. No, that was rubbish. Don't laugh at that.
That was I can't do it. I'm rubbish at it.
Yeah, that wasn't.
Let's not beat around the bush.
Yeah. So, you what?
Beat around the bush.
Yeah, I said that.
Oh, did you say that one?
I've already said that one.
Sorry, I must have not been listening. Sorry. I was too busy thinking of my own, and then came up with the same fucking one.
Yeah. I know.
Anyway, let's not beat around the bush.
Yeah. It's yeah. Well, you know what? Should we just dive straight into it?
Dive straight in.
I think the title of this podcast and the thumbnail, the clickbaity thumbnail, is going to give you a good indication of what we're on about today.
Yeah,
really,
it's Brian.
You team Brian?
Brian. I don't know really. I mean, I love them both.
Yeah,
with equal affection.
I think let's just put it out there. Like, I don't think either of us have a. This isn't about like me arguing with you from one side or you arguing with me from another side or anything like that, because we both love both eras really. I think it's just more talking a bit about the subject. I mean, who doesn't like talking about
ACDC?
ACDC anyway. They're
Kiss fans.
Some Kiss
fans,
yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah,
maybe.
well,
Iron Maiden fans. Some of them don't like it either.
Well, you know, we're not going to mention. We're not going.
Don't worry. Next week we're going to do Ace versus Paul.
Ace versus.
No fucking no. Well, I don't know. Whatever they call.
Was it Tommy? Is it Tommy?
Tommy Thayer.
Yeah.
Tommy. I don't know. Who was the other singer?
No, it was. I think Paul and Gene were the originals, and they've always been. And it was Tommy.
Oh, was Ace just a guitar player?
Yeah.
Did Ace never sing?
I don't know if he sang. I don't know.
But
I know it was Tommy Thayer that replaced.
Ace,
why are we talking about Kiss
I don't know.
on this episode? It's happened again.
Ace does that. No!
Can't get away from it. The all-encompassing Kiss.
Oh, fuck's sake! Kiss fan Neil will be like this. Oh yeah, they win again.
They're talking about Kiss again.
Fuck off. Anyway, yeah. Do you know what gets me is I can't get my head around. Maybe it's because I wasn't around when it happened. I don't get the staunchness and there's what appears to be. It's not the anger, is it? But they're just the bloody.
Do you mean when Brian came out on the scene? And
some of them despise him, don't they?
There are a handful. I've got to be honest. I've not encountered many that are like that.
It's just comments.
But they do exist, though, don't they?
They do exist. Yeah. I see comments every now and then. No doubt there'll be comments on this. AC/DC died when Bond died and all that.
As long as you're subscribing.
I mean, who are you angry at? I mean, are you angry at a Bond for dying, or are you angry at the band for carrying on? I mean,
well, yeah. I mean, the guy died. He wasn't fired. You know, it's not like
it wasn't a choice to replace him, was it?
No. Well, I mean, yeah. I mean, the guy died. You know, what else can you really?
It's pretty final, isn't it?
Do yeah. There's not. They didn't bin him off, and
he didn't leave.
I think maybe that stems a little bit from the fact that Back in Black was so big. You know, it went.
And it overshadowed. Maybe they thought it overshadowed unfairly Bond's contribution.
Now
I don't.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe I don't know because I wasn't there either. Maybe there's like an element of like people going, yeah, AC/DC, I love him, and then going like, well, you weren't there when they were doing Power Age. Like
you've taken our band and given it to the masses.
So maybe there's a little bit of that. Maybe
you know what? I never thought that's probably it's not excusable, but that's probably a good reason. Yeah.
But whether that was down to Brian, I don't know.
No,
I think it was, to be honest. I think he brought something to the band that Bond didn't. You know, and well, it's true. You know, and I don't think one was better or the other, but I think Brian definitely fit the commercial tight operation that they had going. That I think Bond may have just been a bit too maverick for. Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, he's a little bit less conformist. He's a bit of an outsider, wasn't he? And he was a bit dangerous, and maybe they would. Yeah, he was a bit of a loony, wasn't he? So and which fit the rocker, the hardcore rocker thing.
Yeah.
They like that, don't they? But maybe didn't fit the TVs.
Yeah, exactly.
And the everything else that comes with that.
Yeah. I think that's the case. I mean, if they recorded Back in Black with Bon, would it have been the commercial behemoth it was. You know,
so, mate.
I
Don't
can't
forget any
see it.
fucking ideas in your head either.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
See where this is going.
drink this.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's an interesting. I've not really thought about that, but
Yeah.
apparently there's all these like rumors and
Oh, crikey, yeah.
you know, like Bon actually wrote Back in Black. He wrote all the lyrics.
Yeah,
to
they
it,
reckon
you
that
know.
they reckon that there's audio of him singing. It's bullshit.
Yeah, it's
It's
not.
bullshit. I've listened. It's bullshit. But there's also conspiracy theories. They reckon it was a bit suspicious, wasn't it? They reckon there was a bit of suspicious goings on with Bond's death.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh,
They reckon is there not a guy that they can't get hold of? They want to speak. They wanted to
Oh,
speak to
you know
books of.
what?
I read a book about it a long time ago, and there's a guy in Australia who won't speak about it.
Yeah, you know what? I got given a tip to read. I think the book you must be talking about.
Yeah.
But then again,
Nice crap in it.
as with most, let's basically, it's a conspiracy theory. It's a conspiracy theory.
Well, they reckon there was more to it, don't they? There was maybe more things involved. Maybe somebody's giving him drugs or whatever. Or I don't know.
Well, yeah, there was the whole heroin thing, but we're not really here to talk.
Let's talk about are we?
Focus a bit there. There we go. Focus there.
But anyway, yeah. But no, it was a bit of a maverick outside. I mean, as far as on stage goes, I think both, for me, maybe this is quite controversial, I think both are equally amazing frontmen. I think they're both.
Definitely.
I mean, you watch the Donington, live at Donington there. Was it in 89? 90?
Oh, you want about the big
one, yeah.
Chris Slade.
Yeah. I mean,
99.
John O'Leary, he's just like a beast, isn't he? He's just like this. He just looks amazing. He's got the crowd in the palm of his hand. He's an amazing front. I mean, the band arguably do have two frontmen, don't they? Really? I mean,
yeah, with Angus. I mean, I think Brian respectfully took the role. You know, he didn't for the first sort of tours and that. I think he really was, and he always has been a kind of cap down, head down.
yeah.
Not being too
not-
sickeningly front man.
He's not
you
Dave
know what I
Lee
mean?
Roth, is he?
No, exactly.
He's not. Yeah.
It's like, and he just filled his role, and
Well, he never says a right lot, does he?
no,
He doesn't go off. He just has his few bits and pieces, and
Yeah.
that's it, doesn't it? That's generally what it is, isn't it? And then if
Oh, I tell you what, we were in Romania a couple of weeks ago and caught a Bulgarian ACDC tribute band called The Rock. They were unbelievable, and their Brian was uncanny. Me and Steve were watching, and it was like I've never seen anyone do Brian Johnson like that. Even between the songs, he's a Bulgarian lad, and he's speaking with a Geordie accent.
Was
and everything.
he?
Yeah, it was brilliant.
That is that's
Oh, it
commitment.
was fantastic. Honestly, I took some videos in there.
Brilliant.
If you like sort of squinted a little bit, he could have been him. You know, he could have been like an 80s Brian Johnson.
I saw that guy in the hotel before they played their set, and I actually thought, fuck me, that guy looks like Brian Johnson.
Yeah.
He had like the black sleeveless
he
t-shirt
lived it.
on, and
He
he
lived
had
it.
the flat cap on. I thought, is he fucking for real? That guy he looks
Oh,
like John. Like.
he could tell like he lives it. You know, it doesn't start and end on that stage. He's like
That's brilliant. That's fair
thinks
play.
he thinks he is Brian Johnson.
Fucking brilliant. Well, you know, Well, I heard him. You were up there watching. I could hear him. I thought they sounded incredible. Yeah.
Yeah, really good.
But anyway,
Right. Well,
Brian wins. Yeah.
If I'm honest, and if I really think about it, when we knew we were going to do this episode, I forced myself to really think about it because I don't really ask myself these hypothetical questions because they're nonsense, isn't it? It's like if you could only listen to one for the rest of your life, well, that's never going to happen. So, but if I was, I think I'd pick Bon.
I think I would.
I would.
I agree. He's there's a lot more substance to those songs, isn't there? There's a lot more grit and a lot more. There's a lot more sort of. I think the songs are a lot more interesting.
Yeah, I think there's a character.
That raw production is just unbelievable.
And you consider that Bond's era of the band lasted, 5 years? 5-6 years?
Yeah. How many albums was it? Six albums, 7 albums?
Oh, God. Well, there's some confusion of this, isn't there? Because, they were, Australian... Was it Dirty Deeds and High Voltage? I can't remember. They were released separately in Australia, but then combined for the rest of the world. I don't know. I don't know about that. But
Should have had Stephen in on this, shouldn't we?
Stephen would tell us. He's
I think you're fine. He'll be screaming at his TV screen.
yeah, he's Captain ACDC, isn't he?
He is, yeah.
It'd be interesting to know what his opinion on this.
It would, yeah. It would, yeah. If you like,
if you're watching,
Stephen,
Steve.
like and subscribe.
Yeah. Should have brought Steve on.
We should have done.
One,
Yeah, that
maybe,
would have been
you
a good one.
It's like the arbiter. He could have been the
yeah.
like the Richard Whiteley of the
of the
panel,
debate.
of the debate. Yeah. Whereas I'm obviously the Carol Vorderman.
Yeah, I'm Rachel. What's her face?
Rachel Riley.
Yeah.
That's another one we should do. Team Rachel, team Carol.
But yeah, you watch. But I mean, and I think really, personally, I think you're hard pressed to find a Duff song on all of those albums.
Oh no, I could on
You think so?
On the Bon albums.
I just think he brings, even to shite songs, he brings so much character in his voice.
Yeah,
You know, even the funny songs, or you know, the throwaway songs, or
I think you would be from Let There Be Rock onwards. So Let There Be Rock, Power Age, Highway to Hell is solid gold. It is absolutely, well, to be honest, then Soul's Back in Black, really, you know, and then
Fly on the Wall. That was a good one.
that's their period, 1977 to 1980, whenever Flick of the Switch was. That's the sort of peak for me.
Yeah.
And then, you know, kind of moments of brilliance, sort of like before and after. But
That bit, I mean, but a lot of that comes down to, again, that comes down to eras as well, and other genres and other things elbowing their way in and becoming popular, and you know, and maybe
this is
things
it.
just don't become as relevant anymore.
But there's always this argument though, in there, like where Stephen says it as well. You know, they never changed, and or you know, I'm sure he said, you know, they just did what they did. But you listen to especially like the '80s albums, like the Fly on the Wall and
Blow Up Your TV. Was that '80s?
Yeah, and they just sound. They're going for that reverby '80s drum production big thing, and it does not work. It's you know, it's rubbish. It's not very good.
No,
not very good at all. You know, the video era when they started making all them videos, but so they did. You know, you can't say they didn't. You know, toe the line at some point. You know, they always did sort of try to stay relevant. But then I think the 90s hit, and they were just this big thing, and they didn't need to worry about that anymore.
No, play the same songs.
Yeah.
But they're both very different guys, aren't they? I mean, I would look at, like, it's also interesting to see who was going to replace Bon, because the old Noddy Older thing was always...
Yeah,
he was approached, wasn't he, Noddy? But he turned it down, because I think I read he turned it down because he thought he was, not being a big head in any way, shape or form, he was too big of a personality and he didn't want to be Noddy Older in AC/DC. He'd rather have been the AC/DC singer, which he probably never would have been, would he? So that's fair play.
I don't think that would have worked, to be honest.
I don't think it would have worked as well as they think it might have worked either.
I mean, it's easy to say all this kind of stuff now that we know what happened and what did come next, you know, but it wasn't a given. I think at the time they weren't sure whether they... there's always that story in there where they were after Bond's funeral and they went to see Bond's mum and like basically had to talk to her about it, and she was like, "No, you've got to carry on, lads. You know, that's what Bond would have wanted."
Oh yeah,
and,
there's no fucking way he'd have wanted him to knock it on the head, is there? No way in a million years. But it's interesting to. Well, there were a few people, didn't there? There's a few roadies as well. I read there was a few roadies with the band that threw their hat into the ring. Yeah.
If Noddy Older threw his hat into the ring, there would have been.
You fucking killed everyone.
It'd have been a massive calamity. Kaboom!
Right, boys! Boom! Yeah, and then I was reading before again a guy called Terry Slessor, I think he was called, who was a singer with Paul Kossoff's side band, Backstreet Crawler. Obviously, Paul Kossoff from Free. But I don't know why. I don't know what the process was with all those guys, or if they said they didn't want to do it or whatever. But did they reckon that Bon had been to watch? Don't they reckon that's another story?
He'd seen him, Geordie,
not long before he died, didn't he?
Yeah.
And said, if everything ever happens to me... Or is that a bit of a bullshit story?
Well, I don't know.
Sounds bullshit.
Maybe it did, but I mean...
If I ever die, guys.
Exactly. Could you ever imagine saying that?
Yeah.
Do you know what? If I ever die, that's the guy I want. You know, I'm just going to state for the record.
Bullshit.
I don't know. It sounds like I'm sure he did see him, and I'm sure he went like, that singer's great, or I like that band.
Yeah.
But I find it a little bit of a stretch to imagine he'd said, you know, that's the guy for me. You know. I don't think that happened.
It's crap. It's just rock and roll folklore, and it's one of the many stories, isn't it?
Which is all part of it, which is
Yeah,
great,
of
you
course
know.
it is.
It is great, but
bullshit, isn't it?
reality, I don't think that'd have happened, you know.
But I've never listened to much Geordie, to be honest. I don't really aware. I don't know why I've never listened to much Geordie. It's not the sort of thing I would have listened to be honest.
Well, don't listen to them expecting anything like ACDC. They're not. They're like they're kind of more the glam, you know. They're more like the sweet kind of
rock and roll
thing.
kind of
good, decent, you know. But he's bloody high when he's singing in that. You know, it's like shriek kind of stuff.
Because he said, didn't he? He said when they recorded Back in Black, all the vocals for Back in Black, he's like, give it absolutely everything I could, and then listened back to it and thought, fuck, might have to sing these. Carry on singing these for the next 30, 40 years or whatever. Yeah, you don't think of that, do you, when you're doing it? But fair play to him. And what's the bit of the other little story is something great? What's the fucking song where he's speaking at the beginning and they left it in, didn't they? Go around here. Rock and roll noise pollution. That's right. That bit at the beginning is him talking in the booth, isn't it?
Well, he's lighting a fag, isn't it? You can hear him sort of lighting a fag, and he's just sort of jamming along, you know.
Yeah. And they left it in, didn't they?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's brilliant. No, there was absolutely no getting around how good Brian Johnson was and is, really. You know.
Yeah.
I think there's not many rock singers that have aged as well as he has, considering how hard it is, you know.
I agree. You listen to I did a thing for classic rock, listening to Power Up, and I gave the album another listen, and that was the most standout thing for me was Brian's voice. Yeah. I thought, bloody hell, he sounds great.
Sounds like an old blues.
He does
an old blues kind of Muddy Waters type,
brilliant
crooning. You know, but he knows that he can't do that, so he doesn't bloody try and do it.
No, he doesn't. Know? He makes the most of what he's got, and it's fantastic vocals on that album.
And in some ways, you know, it's different. You listen to I think from Ball Breaker, which was like the mid 90s one album onwards. I think they recognised that, and they backed off the gas a little bit, you know.
Yeah,
and it's just it's more about a groove and a rhythm, you know.
Yeah.
The Phil Rudd. I was going to say Paul Rudd then. He's not in him.
Yeah.
You know, the Phil Rudd kind of backbeat.
Well,
swing.
That's why I thought Power Up had gone more bluesy. A lot more bluesy, yeah, like laid back. Like the one before it, what was that? Rock or Bust. Not really a fan of that album. I think it's trying a bit hard to be a bit more sort of up-tempo rock. I don't know, but Power Up's great. Dead bluesy. I think they do that really well.
Yeah.
Sounds more like harking back to sort of, you know, the Bond sort of stuff a bit more, you know, because that was very bluesy, wasn't it? Bond's.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well,
I mean, Bond wrote. Was there a change in lyric writers then when Bond died? Because Bond used to write the lyrics, didn't he? So, I don't know if Brian writes so many lyrics.
I think he did up until like the late 80s, and then I think Angus and Malcolm wrote everything. I think Angus and Malcolm wrote everything on Razor's Edge.
Right.
But no, Brian's credited with all the lyrics on Back in Black.
Right.
And
I wonder why they changed. I wonder why they stopped that then. That's strange. Because that was a dimension of the band that is really a valuable thing to have. I mean, I'm not saying Angus and Malcolm can't write lyrics, of course, but it is always good to have, I think, like in our band, where you have somebody different writing
the music
and the songs.
Well,
the words maybe, because it's.
I definitely think you especially after a number of albums, patterns emerge, and it becomes. I mean, we're talking about ACDC here, so you're never gonna. There is a pattern, you know. But I mean, it's.
I noticed
there is going to become a. I guess they get away with it a bit more but they're not deep. They're not deep lyrics, are they? You know,
no.
Mistress for Christmas. You know, it's. What are they?
But Bond's lyrics were.
There's not rush, is it?
There's more to Bond's lyrics than I think. Well,
a lot
of the lyrics.
What was it? Toilet poetry. That's what Angus called it.
That's a great. Yeah. It's great. Yeah. Well, we were talking about songs before. Down Payment Blues is a fantastic, lyrically a fantastic
Down Payment
song.
Blues, Gone Shooting.
Well, all that yell them
Ride On.
Songs, yeah.
You know, all these like blues songs. You know, they're definitely more blues than they are. You know, flat out, foot to the floor, rock and roll, whole lot of Rosie type things.
Yeah,
they're a lot deeper than they get credit for. However, I think that maybe they shallowed out a little bit with Brian. You know, and I think that's kind of what we're getting at here. You know, they
stuck to something that sold easy.
Maybe, yeah, and they just tried to recreate that. And I think working with Mutt Lang as well. I've read interviews with Malcolm Young about like the whole Mutt-Lange process and how it was great for that, and it got a massive commercial success, but they didn't like it. They didn't like
Right.
the kind of
The sheen.
going
and
to the absolute far end of a
The Def
fart
Leppard treatment.
to get this snare drum just right. I think there was I think they had like a few weeks in some like EMI studio.
Just hit the fucking thing.
Yeah, in Paris.
I bet that was said more than once.
Working on a snare sound, and you can imagine, can't you?
It's infuriating.
Yeah.
It's infuriating. You got all this energy and you want to write an album and somebody's there going, yeah, try a different stick.
Yeah.
It's like, fuck off.
But that's well, I mean, then he found a band like Def Leppard and it did. We'll make a video on that, and that it was different.
Not work for them, did it?
ACDC, I don't know if... But there's no arguing with the results, is there?
Strips the appeal a bit, doesn't it, I think, all that
A little
production.
bit. I mean...
You listen to the early stuff, though, it's like, I'm still, even Airborne, and these, like, raw rock bands, nobody has managed to encapsulate that early, that AC/DC Bon Scott, Let There Be Rock. That's a great example. Just that energy and that power in them amps. His guitar is like...
Yeah.
Just, nobody's done it, have they? And I don't understand.
Not really, not like that. And I think a lot of that is because of the time. Those albums, what is it, the Van der Young albums?
Yeah.
Like up to Highway to Hell. They were like done pretty live. You can hear all kinds of stuff. Let There Be Rock, Angus's guitar's out of tune for a lot of it. They just didn't even they just did it. And
did it set on fire as well?
Yeah, there's that. Again, Stevie will probably give the more correct information. But I think the solo at the end of either Let There Be Rock or Whole Lot of Rosie. Yeah, I think it was like on fire, and it was looking over, and then they were like, just keep going,
keep playing.
Yeah,
fucking brilliant. What a band! What a band!
Brilliant. Yeah, they're excellent.
Yeah, but and then you've got Mark Evans. He was the original guy. We played with him, didn't we?
Dave Evans.
Mark Evans. Mark Evans was the bass player, wasn't he? Yeah. We met Mark Evans briefly at Bonfest, didn't we?
Did we?
Yeah, he was there.
Was he?
Yeah, he was on. He went around the town on the truck.
Oh God!
They do the.
I was probably drunk.
Yeah, he was. He was, and then he got up on stage with. And he sang a song with his son was there. Bond's son was there.
Well,
his son.
That's the thing, isn't it? But looking at him,
yeah,
he looked like Bond.
He looks like him, doesn't he? Yeah. Me and Stephen had a good talk to him. He was a really lovely guy. Really lovely guy. He's a club promoter he's a promoter in Australia, isn't he? And he just puts like rock nights on in places. But yeah, he was a lovely guy, and you would think he looked like him. He had that. It was his eyes. He had that weird, cheeky fucking glimmer in his eyes. Yeah, and that sneer, that.
Yeah. I could believe it. Yeah,
I could quite easily believe it. Yeah, but yeah, no. Dave Evans, he's Dave Evans, isn't he? The singer, original singer. Yeah, well, we met him. We played with him years ago at Sanctuary in Burnley. He's another great guy. He
was. Yeah.
He was with him. He was only with him for a very, very, very tiny length of time, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Was he? Did he release his first ever single or something?
Was it Can I Sit Next to You, Girl?
I think so, yeah.
That was the one that. Might have played it about 3 times.
But he was a spandex wearing guy, when he was more glam, wasn't he? And I think that's why they got one of the reasons he went, wasn't it? He had there's a picture of him in a black and white catsuit.
Yeah. It's not
it's not the look we're going for.
Have you got any school uniforms?
Yeah.
Right. Well, I think I would probably, if I had to, I'd probably find myself in the Bond camp, really. And that's nothing about Brian, but I just think in terms of sheer musical output, what they did,
quality level,
and the quality level,
consistency,
and the energy, and everything. But having said that, Back in Black and Flick of the Switch is as good as anything that was done. But it's only 2 albums, really. And if I'm honest, I don't like Razor's Edge. No. I know you do. I know you.
I don't mind it. Yeah, I quite like it. But I think that's just through sheer playing it. Sometimes albums you play them enough, and you just.
I don't know what it is.
I mean, rock and roll. Black Ice I think Black Ice is a brilliant album.
Yeah, Black Ice is decent. Yeah, I played that a lot. But I think that was a time we were just starting this band.
Yeah, we used to cover Rock and Roll Train, didn't we?
There's loads of good songs on that. Anything Goes and so forth. Yeah. There's one, Big Jack. Yeah,
Big Jack, that's right. Yeah. And what's the other one with the War Machine?
Yeah.
Oh, machine. Yeah.
Yeah,
They
it's
played
good.
that live, didn't they?
Yeah, really good album.
So if you had to pick it, you picked an era, Bon Scott. I would agree. I would agree with you there. I mean, I never saw Bon live, so it's hard to pick which one. I'd love to have seen Bon live. I've seen enough footage, but I think, yeah, I don't know, Brian. Would he, like you said, Brian's tailor made for that. He's a stadium rocker, isn't he?
Yeah.
I don't know. Would they have done the same? Would they have carried on the same trajectory without Brian? I don't know. It's a strange one.
And this isn't really it's not really a Bon versus Brian question, is it? It's like an.
We'd never have known, would we, if he hadn't died? So I wouldn't be having this conversation.
Exactly, and it's more like an ACDC then and an ACDC now thing, and it's not really got any bearing on who's singing for him, because I dare say, who knows what would have happened if Bon stayed alive, you know, and they were still releasing albums to this day. What would have happened there? You know, they might have been awful.
Well, we've got the old Axl Rose thing going on.
Well, yeah, it was funny that, because Brian said, if I ever lose my voice, I want Axl Rose.
Really? Hey, wanker. Oh,
Yeah, that old folklore.
yeah. But everyone was like, I loved that. I loved how everybody was up in arms about it. Axl fucking Rose. And then after the tour, everyone was like, it's pretty fucking good, actually. Yeah, it was really, really good.
It's like the bloody redemption arc, isn't it? Complete, you know, of Axl Rose.
Our old mate Phil Conlane from Blackwater's Conspiracy, he got. What was the band he played with before? Bloody We Cinema.
Million Dollar
Reload. We Cinema, didn't we? Supporting Blackberry Smoke. He got a call, didn't he? I think Angus had listened to him or heard him, and he got flown out to bloody America, didn't he? To stand in to do an audition when Axl Rose was having an audition. I mean, fucking imagine that.
Yeah, just that as an experience. Yeah.
What a guy. Yeah,
Amazing.
that's incredible, isn't it? But so if you had to pick an album, what album? If you could pick, you picked an era, and I would agree with you. Or if you could pick one album out of either era, so you don't have to pick this out of the Bon era, but out of either era, which one album would you pick?
So, would you mean one for each singer or just one overall?
Just one overall. Well, you could do one for each singer if you want.
Well, yeah, I think we'll probably both pick the same thing, wouldn't we?
Power Age.
Yeah.
Oh well, because that's saying, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think
it's hard to beat that album, isn't it?
That is like the zenith, isn't it? Really.
No, it's just something about it, isn't it? Yeah. It's just incredible.
And yeah, Highway to Hell is sonically better. You know, it's more polished, and Back in Black's probably got, you know, the bigger hits on and everything. But there's something about Power Age.
The riffs and the hooks and his voice and the words, the production. Yeah, it ticks all the boxes, I think. Power Age.
Yeah.
Fuck, what a fucking album.
Yeah, Power Age.
One of them albums you could stick on and then play it again a few times over and never just not get bored of it.
Well, we did, didn't we? Quite a lot.
Yeah, it has been done.
Just as soon as that first Rock and Roll Damnation chord hits, isn't it? You know.
Yeah. We used to play that, didn't we? We used to play that, didn't we? Yeah, we used to play Lords, didn't we, back in the day? Damnation, Riff Raff, Rosie, Highway to Hell.
Yeah.
We had to be a bit more choosy with the old Brian Johnson numbers because some of them you can't fucking sing.
Very high, innit?
Yeah, the Back in Black was all right, and You Shook Me, Rock and Roll Train, they were the three we did, weren't they? But I couldn't do things like Let Me Put My Love Into You, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Really, Brian?
Giving the Dog a Bone.
Giving the Dog a Bone. Yeah. They are ridiculous to sing.
Yeah.
Ridiculous.
There is a note in one of them, I think it is in Giving the Dog a Bone, where it's so high.
Yeah.
Unbelievably high.
Yeah, it's stupid. You think Back in Black's hard? They're even harder to sing. Yeah. But they are great songs.
Honourable mention for Flick of the Switch, which I think is Brian's Power Age. You know, it's not the one. Back in Black gets all the plaudits, but I think that's the one that's kind of got the raw kind of just not thinking about it too much. Just some belting songs.
It's a bit unsung, isn't it?
Yeah,
It sort of
Comes for Hire and
what a tune that is! Yeah,
it's what's Rising Power.
All right, Rising.
Brilliant.
I've not listened to it for years. What tracks Fire Your Guns on? I know it's a bit of a throwaway song.
That's Razor's Edge.
I really like that song. I think that's a great rhythm song. The drums and the fucking bass and Malcolm on that.
Yeah, it's. I think it's more the production on that album that I'm not keen on. It's very dry. It's like really sort of tinny and shallow on Razor's Edge. You know, I don't know. Money Talks, I think, is the best song on that album, and that's a song that's like never really talks about. Or anything, but
there's so many great songs that they don't play live. I mean, everybody says.
Nope.
All right.
Ignore that.
Ready for that? Is
Ignore
him?
that.
Big Kiss fans.
Yeah.
So many songs they don't play live, innit? But they changed it when Axl sang with them, didn't they? Because I think he was like, "Well, I'll do the job." And fair play to him to have the balls to say, "Look, I'll do it." But
Yeah,
I want to play some classics. Riff
Well.
Raff. Played Riff Raff, didn't they?
They played songs that I think they hadn't done for a long time because.
Yeah, because he was a big fan.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Axl was a big fan.
There we go. Anyway, let us know what you think.
We don't know who's won.
It's
pointless exercise.
It's an oft discussed topic amongst us sad rock fans.
Axl.
But, you know. Axl. Team Axl.
Team Axl. I think, yeah.
No.
No.
No. But if you've enjoyed the video, consider subscribing.
Liking.
If you're on, your Buzzsprout or whatever, do whatever you need to do to follow. Appreciate that. And we'll see you next time.
See you next time.